I'm saying, are you ready?
Well, are you ready? Hello, I am Shane Moore, and I am indeed the Texarcist. I'm coming to you from Dallas, Texas, the Lone Star State. And tonight's topic, we will be talking about different theories on the origin and the very definition or meaning of evil. Now, evil, of course, the word evil has many different connotations and different meanings that have been appropriated to it. But what is evil? I mean, when we say someone is evil or someone does something evil, if they don't realize that they're doing evil, then is it defined as evil? I mean, is that evil? Because the definition or the meaning of evil, in my opinion, is doing something with the intent to harm someone or hurt someone. And if that intent is not there, then is it evil? I mean, tonight we will discuss this very question, this very topic, it's a huge topic, very fascinating, because when we get down to it, it may change your views on what evil really is. Now, I will be giving you my theories, just my theories. I'm not saying anything is fact. I'm just putting it out there, and I'll let you make up your own mind. I will be talking and taking different descriptions of evil, the origins of evil, from the Bible. So please don't think I'm preaching or I'm trying to pull you in or convert you or anything. No, I'm just simply presenting information, and that's all. So those of you that know me, those of you that have listened to the show, you know that I never preach. I don't have to. That's just, that's between you and the Creator. It's your business. It's not my business. Anyway, I'm going to take a short break and allow listeners who want to join the live chat and take part, and I encourage you to. And if you would like, you can call in the show at 903-956-0055. Outside the U.S., 001-903-956-0055. If you want to call in with questions, comments, personal experiences, please do so. And we will talk, and it will be live, and it will be great. So I will be back in 3 minutes. And I am back. Okay, when you hear the word evil, what is the first thing that comes to mind? I mean, something such as the devil, or just atrocious acts, war, cruelty. There's a lot of different things that come to my mind when I hear the word evil, and it's very much a word that we have learned, or we've been, I don't know, we've been indoctrinated to when we hear that word evil. It just I guess you could say we jump to conclusions, and we think the worst, and we have to ask ourselves, is evil just a part of the human condition, the condition of humanity? Or is it something that is outside of humanity? Is it something within us that is innately within us, or is it something that is on the outside of us? Now, the church, the Catholic Church, many years ago, they, of course, at the Council of Nicaea, they chose what books would make up our Bible, and they translated their many translations from the supposed original texts, which were in themselves. Yes, I can, Michelle. Glad you're here. Thank you for joining. But the Roman Catholic Church at the Council of Nicaea, they chose what books would make up the Bible that Christians have today. 66 books. Okay, there were many other books that they deemed, yes, she says, sweet. Well, thank you so much for being here. One is a lonely number, and I'm glad you're here, so I'm not alone. I kind of get scared when I'm by myself. I'm kidding. Anyway, so at the Council of Nicaea, which was in 325 AD, that's when they chose what books were going to make up the Bible that we have today. Now, how many people have you heard walk around and say, well, I only read the King James because that's, I've heard some people say, well, I only read the King James because that's what the apostles carried. And I'm like, oh, brother, it's going to be a long day. And truth is the Bible was not even in existence until almost, well, it was over 300 and almost 400 years after 33 AD when Jesus was crucified. So that's a long time. That's a long time when you without the Bible that we have what we've been taught. We've been led to believe that the Bible has always been around, and that it's just that it always has been, and you're not to question it. Well, guess what? I'm going to question it. Right, Michelle. And I am not being anti-Christ at all. I'm a Christian, or I consider myself a Christian, but I'm not the conventional Christian. And that's why that I do not go to church, because I don't believe in organized religion, in man-made religion. Organized and by man. Because, as you see in the world today, you see the religious leaders, the organized religion, the organized religious leaders, and how closely, it's not close, they are interwoven with the politicians. And it makes me sick. That's the same way it was in the time of Jesus. And what happened was there was not a separation of church and state back then. Not really. I mean, when you think about it, it says plainly in the Bible, it's kind of, you kind of have to put the pieces together, or read between the lines. But what happened is Jesus took a stand. He took a stand against the Pharisees, the religious leaders of that day, that were oppressing and the people. They were keeping them in darkness, and what I mean by that is they were keeping them in ignorance, without knowledge, without spiritual knowledge. And that's how they kept their hold on them. It's like they would hold the carrot in front of them, and the people would pull the cart, believing that they were going to sooner or later get the carrot, and the religious leaders are laughing the entire time. And Jesus comes along and he says, no. He says, this ends now. This is going to stop. And so he starts teaching, and trust me, this is the mission of Jesus in short. Okay, I'm just really cutting to the chase. He took a stand against the, I guess you could call them, what the Bible does, what Jesus called them, children of the devil. Again, what is the devil? Excuse me. What is the devil? Is the devil an actual personality, an actual, single entity that is out to get everyone? Is the devil the origin of evil? Okay, we'll get to that. But Jesus said, you're of your father, the devil. He was a murderer from the beginning, and when he speaks lies, because that's his native language. What he was saying is you are murderers. You have hatred in your hearts, and all you do is lie. Sounds like politicians to me. And what took place is they walked up and they, let's see, Michelle, you said, yeah, no one understands it was a piecemeal thing as far as the Bible. There were many books that were discarded, and you have to ask yourself, why was that? Why were they discarded? Could it be because they told or explained truth, they maybe too much truth? And they said, we can't get this out, so it goes in the Vatican archives, and, who knows? But, and then, when you think about it, it was men it was men that chose what books. And I personally believe that there was things added. Yes, we are being deceived. We are being deceived. And I'm glad you said that, Michelle, because the Bible, the Apostle Paul says in one of his books, one of his epistles, he says something like, it's all, spiritual and everything. And then at the very end of the chapter, he says something like, respect the government authorities. And it's like, pray for them, and something along the lines like, don't question them. And I'm like, objection, Your Honor. No. Blind faith is ignorance. I'll say that again. Blind faith is ignorance. If you have blind faith in any leadership, as far as human leadership, you want to fall on your face. You want to be disappointed. You want to suffer. There's no such thing as blind faith when we're talking about people, because every person can fall. They make mistakes. They're very susceptible to, absolutely, screw blind faith, because it is never, and I say this myself, don't believe what I say. Just don't say, well, he said it, so it must be true. No, not necessarily. I mean, what I do is I wouldn't share things with you if I didn't believe it was the truth. But just because I believe doesn't necessarily make it the truth. The truth, the way that you will know the truth is it will resonate with you. So if what I say, if what I teach, if what I share resonates with you, and what I mean by that is it's something that you really can't describe. It's something that you experience, but when you do, you just know that you know that you know. You can't explain it, but you just know it. And no one can change your mind, because when you experience faith, not faith, when you experience truth, you and truth, there's a bond there. There's a connection. And because, believe it or not, within every human being, there is that kernel of truth. So when you experience truth, that's what resonates within you, is the truth that is within you. And it's something that you can't describe. You can't explain it. But you feel it. And you know it. And that's why when people say, well, I didn't know that it was the truth. No, that's impossible. Yes, absolutely. You say it's in the spirit of you. If you have the ability, yes, that's right. That's right. In the spirit, in your heart, not your mind, not your mind. Matter of fact, your mind hates the truth. Just like the Pharisees, the religious leaders in the time of Jesus, they hated him. Why? Because he told them, he says, I am the truth. And what they did, he was teaching the common people, and he was building a following. Okay, that's right, Michelle. Absolutely, it is within. And he was telling them. He says when you hear that I am out in the desert, or I'm on the seashore, or I'm here, I'm there. He says, or that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. He says, don't believe it. He says, don't you realize the kingdom of heaven is within you? Within you. Now look around. Look at the world today. What's going on? Everyone has been taught from birth that what you need is you don't have, and you have to search for it, and you may find it outside of yourself. And people are discouraged. People are basically punished if they search within themselves, because that's a no-no, especially within the churches. Well, if you do that, then that's just wrong. Really? Well, you claim to be a Christian. You claim to follow Christ, right? Well, you need to really crack open your scripture and read what you're preaching, because it's not adding up. He said the kingdom of heaven is within us. Not at your church, not at your mega church, not at your all your bells and whistles and lights and some of these churches now. I mean, it's not like you're at church. It's like you're at a Black Sabbath concert. I mean, the only thing is you need to have Ozzy coming out, with a microphone. Oh, okay, bite the head off a bat or something. I don't know. But anyway, certainly wouldn't be boring. But yeah, churches now, I mean, it's not church. It's not teaching anyone anything. It's a production. It's entertaining them. Why do they go to church? And when people tell me, they ask me, so where do you go to church? I say, I don't go. Well, what? Why not? And I said, well, because I don't have to go to church to be spiritual. And as a matter of fact, I said it helps me. I said to have my spiritual experiences or my spiritual growth myself. I said, I don't need a priest. I don't need a man that stands up behind the pulpit, raised up on a podium, raised up on a platform, so he's above everybody else. It was not like that. It was not like that in the time of Jesus. Matter of fact, church means the circle of rocks or something like that. Everyone was on the same level, but now you have the pastor, you have the preacher elevated, and see, it's all psychological. People may not realize it, but it's all psychological. The preacher comes out, and where is the teaching? Where is the truth of what Christ taught as far as humility? These guys come out like rock stars. And I just want to, I'm just asking, have you seen how people react when some of these pastors walk out? Ask yourself, are they there to worship God, or are they there to worship the pastor? Are they there to truly learn, or are they there with, you know, mesmerized and basically admiring and so in love and wanting to be just like the pastor? Whether it be, you know, pearly whites and Joel Osteen, you know, here in Texas. I wish he wasn't from Texas. Anyway, it makes Texas look bad. Now, I know there's many people out there that love Joel Osteen. Joel Osteen, personally, I don't have a problem with him. But as a pastor, when absolutely, it's not about us. It's not about you. It's about others. Now think about that. If the world mindset was like that, it would be heaven on earth. It would be paradise. But that's the problem. Everyone's mind, their mindset is this disease called meism. Me, me, me. And even those that do, there's some, I'm not saying everyone, but people who help others with a pure heart are very rare. Because there are some, actually maybe more than, we might say many, the only reason they help others is to be seen helping others. And there's a certain satisfaction. There's a certain power when you help someone. It lifts you up. It just naturally does. And that's fine. But if you help others to lift yourself up, you've got a problem. You need to first search yourself and find out what you're missing, because that's nothing more than an escape mechanism. You're running from yourself, you know. And that's a good way to, you know, cover everything up. But Jesus was teaching the common people something that was very, very powerful. Now, the Bible doesn't say what it was, but I find it very, very interesting that the Pharisees comes up. Yes, Michelle, yes, absolutely. An energy exchange, absolutely. A transference, a resonance. And it's a trust. It's a faith that you have in the person that you exchange energy with. It's not blind faith. It's not blind faith. But you may not even know that person. That's right. That's right. Be noble and true yourself. Okay. This is the religious leaders who were very, very powerful. I mean, they could have you stoned to death for, they could say that you did something. They could say that you committed blasphemy. You know, and on their word alone, you could be stoned to death. Okay. Now, see, this is why Jesus is, I really connect with Jesus. Not like a Jesus freak. No, I'm saying Jesus was ready to rumble. You know, this, you know, how he's been portrayed as being, oh, little baby Jesus, all meek and weak, or the weak little lamb, you know, and oh, he turned the other cheek, and you know, yeah, go with me to when the Pharisees, when the ones who could have had him stoned to death on the spot, they came up and they said, Who gave you the authority to teach this teaching? This teaching. There was something different about what he was teaching at that time. And they were very, very concerned about it because they did not want the common people to know what he was teaching them. What was he teaching them? He was teaching them truth. He was empowering them. And the Pharisees, the leaders, religious leaders, they freaked out. And they said, who gave you the authority to teach this teaching? And he said, he says, I only teach what my Father in heaven, tells me to teach. And they said, whoa, that could be in itself, that could be blasphemy. But what he was doing was he was telling them, he was making it clear to them, making sure that they knew who they were dealing with. And he says, they said, are you saying that you're the Son of God? And he said, no, you just said it. And I can just see the people that had been oppressed, that had basically been robbed, manipulated their entire lives, just cheering Jesus because he's really, really getting over on these supposedly very, very powerful, very, very intelligent, very, very knowledgeable men, leaders, and I can imagine them saying, who is this 30-year-old Galilean? I mean, who is this dude? I mean, he's good. Jesus said, they said, well, you're saying that you're the Son of God. And he's, well, no, you said it. You just said it or something. And they said, are you saying that you're greater than our father Abraham? And he said, if Abraham was your father, Abraham, which is the father of Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. Now think about that also. Abraham. In the Bible, in Genesis, the father of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Wow. The three very religions that are in power and causing... No, it's not. It's not religion. It is not religion. It is a system. It is a man-made system. It has nothing to do with spirituality. It has nothing to do with the Creator. It has nothing to do with love. It has to do with war, hatred, and death. And if you follow it, you will die. You will die. In one way or another. Maybe not physically because of it, but you'll die spiritually because of it. Why? Because it was not created for you, for your spiritual growth. It was created to restrain you. Religion comes from the Latin religare, which is where we get the word relegate. Relegate, regulate, rules. Follow these rules. Don't break these rules. And Jesus comes along, and the Jews, the Jewish people of that day, they had so many rules and laws, supposedly from God, 613 to be exact. People say, well, God gave Moses the 10 Commandments on Mount Sinai. Well, yes, and a lot more. How about the first 5 books of the Bible, which is the Torah? Okay, the first 5 books of the Bible. And it was in one continuous strand of Hebrew characters. That's what the Jewish mystics say, is that it was one continuous strand, unbroken, of 300 and something thousand characters, unbroken. So when you see the movies of Charlton Heston coming down from the mountain as Moses with the two granite, tablets, and there's five commandments on one side and five on the other side, and people are just cheering, hey, this is great. My question is okay, Moses, what went on up there? Because you were up there 40 days and 40 nights. And if that's all that was written, that was engraved, and that's all you did, come on. I mean, I could take a chisel and I could chisel that in one day. Save you 39 days. So what was it? It was just that. It was the first 5 books of the Bible, the 613 rules, commandments, laws, in addition to, or within, a part of, the 10 commandments were a part of all that. So it was a massive amount of information. Now, this is kind of getting off topic, but have you considered what that sounds like? Yes, that's right. And that's my mission, is to break free, is to help people to break free of these thoughts and ideologies once and for all, which are nothing more than the means and methods used by those in power to imprison you in the worst way. They plant the seed in your mind, and it takes hold, and it grows, and you become your own warden. You become your own guard. You don't deviate. They don't have to watch you. They don't have to monitor you, because you do it all yourself. Wow. A lot of you are saying, whoa, this guy from Texas is really laying it out. That's right, I am. And that's what I said, is I like Jesus. Jesus did not go along to get along. He was meek, but he wasn't weak. He took a stand. And he said, they're saying basically, oh, so you think you're going to stop this? And he says, well, yes. That's what I'm doing. And now just imagine that, there's a lot of them, and they have all the power in the world. There's one of him. Just one. But what's he standing in? Truth. And truth need not scream. Truth need not fight. It stands on its own. You can stand in truth, and everyone in the world today, 7.5 billion people, can stand in a lie, and you will be the one standing. You will be the one left standing. Why? Because truth is supreme. It's like lighting a candle in a dark room and not believing that the darkness is going to flee. It has to. The light overcomes the darkness. Every time. So, truth. It's like you said, Michelle, truth and love. Basically the same thing, and there's nothing in this world, in this universe, that is more powerful than love. Now, oh, thank you, Michelle. I I I see myself as just a messenger. I just I just have a message and I just deliver it. Um, Also, kind of a soldier. So yeah. Um, yes, Jesus was the fruit of the spirit, and yeah, but he he taught he taught love. He taught second chances, not to judge. You know what did the Pharisees say about him? Oh, he hangs out with tax collectors and prostitutes. You know, he hangs out with trash. When they asked him why, he said, well, it's not the healthy that need a doctor, it's the sick. What do sick people, I mean really sick people, when they're on their deathbed, what is the for most people that are on their deathbed, very, very sick people, what is the main thing about them? They tell the truth. They're all about truth. You've heard deathbed confessions. They're telling the truth. Why? Because they have nothing to lose, and they want to get rid of the guilt and the lies and yeah. So Jesus said, yes, sick people need hope. Where does hope come from? It comes from the power of truth. Truth empowers everyone that experiences it. Now, what happens in churches? What is a pastor? What is a preacher? What is a minister that gets up and reads from the same Bible that you have? What does he do? He does what everyone should do or could do, but this is the way that I view church. It is people that go, and I'm not putting anyone down that goes to church, but just bear with me. It's people that go and listen to one man's interpretation that he proclaims as truth. Because people are too busy today, in today's world, to read it and study it and think about it and get their own interpretation, which would be just as true, if not even more so, than what he's proclaiming to be truth. How's that? I tell you, I am not popular in churches. Yes, pastors pander to what they want. Now, there are some. In 50 years, I have seen, this is really sad, but I have just seen one that was sincere and really, really had a pure heart and did what he did to help others. It was, and he was probably the greatest man I have ever known. But why? Because he was all about truth. And keep in mind, Jesus, what did he say? He said, I came to he said, I came to seek and save that which was lost. Talking about, people that, like the common people, they were being deceived. And they were falling by the wayside. They were suffering. And he says, I've come to set the captives free. And there's nothing more that I would rather do in my life. I mean, when I take my last physical breath, if I can look back and say, "Wow, I helped set people. I set people free, not me, but I led them to set themselves free from their own self-constructed prison, which is nothing more than a mindset that you have been taught on, not on a conscious level, but you've been taught, you've been indoctrinated to build your own prison, and those in power, those running things, were more than happy to give you everything you needed to construct your own prison. And I'm talking, they might as well have handed you iron bars, steel doors, brick and mortar. Did they do that? No, of course not. Did they do it in other ways? Psychologically? Did they get in your mind? Yes, at a very early age. Now, on YouTube, this is something that is just really, this is really shocking. Well, not really, not to me, but it is one reason why that I do not watch television. I just don't. I haven't watched television in probably, I don't know, let's see, gosh, it's been like 13 years. Okay, when radio came out, that was awesome to the people that wanted to manipulate the masses, to control the masses. They wanted to steer, they wanted to guide the cattle, the livestock. Propaganda. Let's say this, let's promote this, and let's do that. And one way, and I'm not talking about, I'm not like some of those people that go overboard on the songs and, the music industry and blah, blah, blah. Music industry is horrible. Hollywood's horrible. It wouldn't bother me if it all disappeared tomorrow. I mean, really. It wouldn't. But think about this. Radio really had an effect. Netflix, I don't really get into movies. Now, I on a rare occasion I will watch a certain movie. Usually it's a movie that has to do with spiritual things, like horror movies or something like demons or possession, and I just watch it just to point out what's wrong with it and how it just is just so wrong, and it proves itself to be wrong. And but scary thing is there are movies now, and they're not wrong. They're right. They're right to an astonishing degree. Like, they're too right. It's like it's not a movie. It's the real thing. And I know it. I mean, I've researched this. I've studied the paranormal. I've studied the occult. I've studied some bad things. Okay. Well, those things do not come to you, do not come into your life. They don't present themselves as being bad things. They present themselves as being fascinating, harmless, all in fun. And I'll tell you, Mona, my fiance, she watches TV. I mean, I have no problem with people that do. It's just that I choose not to. What happens is right. The sci-fi is, yes, a lot of that is right on target. The Matrix trilogy, I'm a Matrix fan. I'm a diehard Matrix fan. That movie, those three movies had more truth in them than all other movies combined. And people saw it as a sci-fi movie, you know. It's just, it's just, it's fiction. Whoa. Maybe on one level it was, but on another level, there was so much truth in the Matrix trilogy that, I mean, I probably watched it 100 times, and I can watch it again, and I'll find another truth that's hidden in it. I mean, it's almost hyperdimensional. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. But what has happened is evil does not present itself as evil. It doesn't present itself as bad. It presents itself as good. And if there is something bad about it, or there's, something that people would say, wait a minute, that's evil, that's easily handled. It's easily rectified. It's easily solved. How? Justify it. That's all you have to do. You just have to, yes, we do. We live in a holographic universe. I believe we do. I believe that this is nothing more than a simulation. It's a test. The test of all tests. Now, why were we forced to go to give up analog and go everything digital? I thought that was very strange. I thought, wow, really? I mean, well, if you don't, you're not going to be able to, you're not going to be able to watch this. You're not going to be able to watch the news, which I thought was great, because the news it's lies. It's lies, lies, lies. And news, north, east, west, and south. Look it up. It was propaganda. It was lies to the four corners of the earth, and designed to deceive the masses. And it certainly has today. I mean, I had people tell me, I was watching Fox the other day. I was watching CNN the other day. I'm like, oh my God. And how do you know that what they reported was true? Well, because they reported it. Great. And that is so true. As people have been trained to, when they see something reported in the media, whether it be on television, radio, newspaper, internet, when you see it, they've been trained to accept it as truth. It happened because the reporter said it did. And that is absolutely wrong. It's all a show. Wag the tail. Wag the dog. Yep. Matter of fact, I said this on a few podcasts back. When 9/11 happened, when the towers fell, there were every major news media in the United States. They reported that showing video of the Palestinians dancing in the streets, celebrating, saying, it was like, I forget the reporter's name, couldn't stand to look at her, and all these guys going, oh, she's so hot, and I'm like, I would kick her to the curb. I cannot stand her. I mean, she's like this sickening display of just pure hatred. She says, and just insanity. She says, was captured today in Gaza. She says, Palestinians dancing, celebrating the Twin Tower, celebrating the tragedy of 9/11. Okay. It's the clip where the woman is dancing right in front of the camera, and she's holding her hands up, and there's little kids dancing, and there's people cheering in the streets and stuff. That was not the day of or the day after 9/11. That was footage from like 98, where Israeli soldiers were giving the Palestinians candy and like sweets, donuts, croissants, whatever. And if you watch that, you'll see the woman, you'll see this hand, this Israeli soldier giving her this candy, and he's telling her to dance. Why is he telling her to dance? Is she a dog? Well, to them, yeah, she's Palestinian, so she's a dog. But what I'm saying is why was she being treated like a dog? Why were they telling her to dance for the candy? Jokingly, but come on, you don't do that. I mean, you don't do that to another human being. Could it be that they wanted her to dance? Could it be that they wanted to shoot that footage of the children dancing and the people cheering in the streets because hey, if we can use this to vilify and to cause hatred against the Palestinians, against the Arabs, then this would be great. It is psychological warfare, and the most powerful weapon is deception. And people need to know that, and they need to remember it. What did Jesus say? You're of your father, the devil. He was a murderer from the beginning, and when he speaks his native language. What is lying? It's deception. It's deception. And if I can deceive you, if I can make you believe something that's not true, I don't have to do anything more. Your mind picks up the slack. There's people that say, well, mind control, well, that's really scary because they track you and no, they don't. It's the dynamics of mind control. Now, there are some where I do believe that people are tracked, but for the most part, the dynamics are just what I just said. Deception. Making you believe something that is not true. I mean, there were people that were beating people in the streets after 9/11 because they were wearing a turban or whatever, because they saw this footage that who shared it, who broadcast it? The major media. Who owns the major media? And I'll say it now. I am not afraid. And there are many that are. There are many that are afraid. And I've had people that were here on the podcast in the live chat, and I said something about a certain group of people, and before I said it, I said I'm about to speak out, and I said, because I'm not afraid. And this excuse me, this person, I didn't know him. I mean, it was like the first time he'd ever been here, and he said watch yourself. He said, be careful. And I said, oh, I am. I said, I'm going to say it. And I started to talk about it, and the guy left. I mean, and I have not heard from him since. I mean, and there are many people that are just like that. They fear this group tremendously. And I don't care. There's powerful people that, well, they're powerful in the world that fear this group. And if you want to know who controls you, think about who you are not allowed to criticize. And there's your answer. There's your answer. Who you are not allowed to criticize. Now, in this country, we have freedom of speech, right? You can talk about the United States. You can talk about Mexico. You can talk about Canada. You can talk about Germany. You can talk about any country on the face of the earth. But if you talk about Israel, yes, I've said that. If you talk or criticize Israel, it's a crime. It's a crime in 26 states now in the United States. Anti-Semitism. Really? You know what? I say no, it's not. It's truth. I say that, explain to me how a person can be charged with being anti-Semitic when the very definition, the very meaning of Semitism is the language. The Semitic languages. Okay, well, the Palestinians they're Semitic. The Arabs, they're Semitic. But you can say anything you want. You can say the most god-awful, horrible things, anything you want to, about the Palestinians, about the Egyptians, about the Saudi Arabians, anything you want. And it's fine. Not a problem. No problem at all. But you say something about Israel, and you are on the radar, and you're classified as an anti-Semitic, practicing anti-Semitism, that you hate Israel. I don't hate Israel. I can't stand the people. I can't stand those in power who have hijacked Israel. Who are today's Pharisees? Who are today's religious leaders, or political religious Pharisees of today? Nothing's changed. It's the same. It's the same thing. It's just a different cycle. Think about it. The Prime Minister of Israel right now, he is very, very religious. Matter of fact, he's of the sect of Judaism that they want to do what they can to hasten the coming of the Messiah, their Messiah. What does that mean? Well, if this tells you anything, you have your answer. They're called the Doomsday Sect. See, they want to bring about World War III. And it sounds about right, because what you have is the term out of chaos order, right? Well, you can't get more chaotic than after a nuclear war, which is what World War III will be all about. It will be fought with nuclear weapons. What does that mean? It means that destruction. I mean, it means the apocalypse. It means the book of Revelation will come to life. And they're doing everything they can to make sure that it does. And I'm just saying, I'm just one man. But I'm saying that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. Look at the provocation, the poking and the prodding of Syria. And I said this. You can go back and you can listen. 3 months ago, I said, in the next few months, I said, watch for, and I'm not going to say his name, but Prime Minister of Israel and certain other countries and their leaders. I said, watch for them to start poking and prodding and antagonizing Syria. Why? They don't really want Syria. They want Iran. And lo and behold, what happened? What was it, 2-3 weeks ago? The president declared the Iranian military to be a terroristic group, which in the history of mankind, in the history of the world, certainly the history of the United States, that's unheard of. That's insane. I mean, you're talking about a country's military, and you're classifying them as a terrorist group. And it's like John McCain, the psycho. I could not stand John McCain, and I'm sorry, but I'm just telling it like it is. Can't stand the guy. Well, I mean, he's dead now, but I couldn't stand him. Mainly because he wanted, more than anything, he wanted war with Iran. He wanted to go to war with Iran. Why? Well, you do the math. Let's see. Let me see here. There was a plan to overtake 6 or 7 countries, and Iran and Syria were part of that list. This is a list that was leaked, or wasn't leaked, but it was given to Wesley Clark, I believe, and he said it scared him. He's thinking, what's going on? And he said, Rumsfeld told him, he says, yeah, he said, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. And he said, why? He said, this is insanity. And he said, Rumsfeld got really upset, And so he walked out of Rumsfeld's office, and he said he just felt like he was in a nightmare or something, He said everything changed. And I mean, let's just be true. Let's just be honest about it. It's about oil. Damn well it's about oil. I mean, 9/11 happened. I mean, how crazy, how evil was it to attack Iraq? Iraq didn't have anything to do with 9/11. I mean, that was blamed on Osama bin Laden. So, what? Why? And how did that happen? That there were people cheering, watching Iraq be leveled. I mean, there again is you have that deception. What did you hear leading up to that? They have weapons of mass destruction. They have weapons of mass destruction. WMDs. Yes. Capable of hitting the United States. Okay. So you kill hundreds of thousands of Iraqi men, women, and children. Innocent. Didn't do anything. And then what gets me is those who were responsible for that, they simply say, well, we didn't find any. We didn't find anything. We thought he had them. We thought they had them, so. And they just go on about their merry way. Continue living their life. When hundreds of thousands of, like I said, Iraqi men, women, and children were murdered. For what? Well, oil, money. What does money give to people in power? More power. And that's what they want. And they want to hold on to this power. And that's the definition of evil. Is the lust, the insatiable lust for power. Can never have enough power. Money, they don't need money. Matter of fact, they laugh about money because the money they have is making money. I mean, yeah, they're not in it for the money, they're in it for the power. And someone that has an insatiable lust for power is a very, very dangerous person. They'll do anything and everything to gain more power. That's evil. But anyway, we are, let's see, going about an hour and a half. Anyway, Michelle, do you have anything to add? Any comments, questions? I'm not sure if you're still here, but if not, I'm gonna call it a night. And so anyway, thank you for being here, Michelle, and a big thank you to those who listened and didn't take part in the chat. I appreciate you listening. And thank you if you're listening to the rebroadcast. I appreciate you and appreciate you listening so much. If you would, if you need to contact me to for topics that you want to hear discussed, or if you want to join me about a topic or topics that you're interested in, you can do so by emailing me at thetexorcistpodcast@gmail.com. And it would just be a matter of you joining me by phone. And so, if you're interested in doing that, please let me know. If you have any ideas on how to make the show better, like I said last night, there's a website that is in the works for the podcast, to where I can post possibly transcripts, and I can post pictures, charts, articles, and much more. So just bear with me, give me time. This podcast is 8 months old. I started it 8 months ago, so it's still in its beginning stages, but it's starting to really take shape, take form, and I thank God that it is. I am too, Michelle. I am too. I don't know what it is, but I'm usually bouncing off the walls, but I can barely keep my eyes open. It's been a really bad year for allergies here in Texas this year. Oh, horrible. Mountain cedar is what's getting me. Now, I don't know if you have that where you're at, but oh, it is rough here. My eyelids, they like literally, they swell up, and it looks like that I've been hit, which is impossible. I'm too fast. I'm too quick to be hit. My reflexes are just, it's like last night. I turned the light off at the wall and was in bed under the covers before it got dark. Now that's fast, you have to admit. And I'm joking. But the allergies, oh man, horrible. And it's like, you can't escape breathing, so. Oh, okay, you're in Michigan, so yeah. So here it's humid and warm, relatively warm, and yeah, it's pretty rough. And thank you for saying that. Love your thoughts and ideas. That's just that is something that I have always done. Is I have people that say, you just stay in the deep, don't you? And, well, guilty as charged. And what's strange about it is that's always, I have always been that way. And it's like, that's where I'm most comfortable, is in the deep, the very deep. And thinking about, questioning the very basics, the very nuts and bolts of life itself, reality itself. Well, thank you, Michelle. I appreciate you, and I appreciate this is something that is very, very, very good if you're going through a time, or you're going through an experience where people are telling you what to do. When I started the podcast, I had these podcast experts that I talked to that told me, they said, okay, well, you're doing an audio podcast. They said, you might as well just save your time and save your energy, and just completely, they said, don't connect your podcast to YouTube, because nobody will listen to just an audio show. And my response was, as it is so many times, hold my beer. And lo and behold, the number of listeners on YouTube is my greatest number of listeners for the show. And it's right now it is anywhere from 800 to over 1,000 listeners each week. So I am connected to YouTube, and on Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Central Time, I do the show on live on YouTube video, and but yeah, I'm there. This episode will be posted on YouTube, just like all the rest, and on my channel, the Texas Live Podcast. But the experts, the seasoned professionals, they said, don't do it. It'll just be a waste of time. And it's I said, we'll see about that. And I did it anyway. And now it's like this week, there's been 995 people that have listened, and YouTube is the biggest listener base that I have, when I was told not to do it because no one would listen. So, yeah. Don't believe in impossible. Believe in I'm possible. You're possible. Anyway, yes. How you found me, and I'm glad you did, Michelle. I appreciate you. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate your thoughts. You sharing your thoughts, your opinions. And I value those, and so keep on keeping on. Absolutely. But anyway, going to call it a night, and love and light to you all. Love you all. Good night from Texas. See you next time.